Hey guys, welcome back to Class with Cass, my YouTube series giving you the hottest tips and tricks for living your best student life. For those of you who don't know me, hello, my name is Cassandra. I got into every school that I applied to, including all 8 Ivy Leagues, and a big part of the college application process is the interview, and it should be happening between January and March. So I'm here today to give you some tips on acing that interview. So let's start by talking about how important these college interviews are. Are they really that important? Well, I did have the chance to open up my YALE admissions file in my last semester there, and you can watch, all the tea that I spill in this video here. Essentially, what surprised me the most is that on paper, it looks like your college interview matters a lot. My interviewer wrote multiple paragraphs, maybe about 4 or 5 paragraphs about our conversation, and whereas my admissions officers who were commenting on my essays, my grades, everything, really only wrote 1 paragraph each. However, we do have to take into consideration that your admissions officers are fighting for you verbally in the room. They're meeting with a ton of other officers and they're presenting you on their feet to the room, whereas your college interviewer doesn't get the chance to do that. So that's why they have to write out almost in great detail how their conversation went with you, what they think about you as a whole, because they won't have the chance to speak up in the room about you. So what is the function of these interviews? Well, I don't have a precise answer for you, but I can pretty much hazard a guess. Let's consider the interviews as a whole. Not every school is going to ask you for an interview, and this comes down to some practical factors, such as do they have enough alumni who are volunteering their time, do schedules work out, etc. But I think when you do have the chance to interview, it can really help your application sing. Are you a genuine person? So the interviewer can make sure that you are essentially the same person on your apps, right? Your interviewer didn't read your application, but they're going to write in detail what you guys talk about. If what you guys talk about is wildly off from the details or facts presented on your application, which your admissions officers really know like the back of their hand, then there will be some suspicion in the air, right? So this is a chance for them to verify the truth that yes, you are indeed a real, genuine person. The second thing that they can ascertain from the interview is your personality. You are essentially giving the university a chance to get to know you more. Some of us might not be the best writers out there. It's maybe really hard for you to convey on paper the various parts of your life story, different parts of your personality. So here's your chance to shine beyond what's on the page. You're giving the school a fuller picture of who you are that just can't be captured in the written word. 3. I think that they are recruiting you. So let's not forget, the interview might also be a two-way street. Not only are you trying to sell yourself on why you belong at their school, they might be trying to sell you why you belong at their school. That's why a lot of these schools have alumni conduct their interviews, not some third-party organization. These alumni had a great time at their schools. They can tell you about the activities that they did, the student life, they can answer your questions. So they have an MO. They want to convince you to choose their school should you get in. So knowing all of this context, let's talk about my 5 tips on acing your interview. 1, bullet point the most important things that you want to talk about. So this doesn't just apply to college interviews. In my experience, it also applies to job interviews, because the most common thing that I faced from interviewers as the opening question is, so tell me about yourself. Where do you even start? That is so open-ended. Well, for me, I like to think through what are the most important points in my life and activities that I'm doing that I really want to hit, and I will craft a narrative around that. Now, I have to be really meticulous. I don't want to go into too much detail of what is boring or unimportant or irrelevant to my life. I really want to hit topics that are important to me and demonstrate my passion. If they do start off with this question, it's a good idea to go bigger picture so that they naturally will have follow-up questions to ask. If you cover everything in such minute detail, you leave them no room for exploration. So really think of this opening as a bait and trap. You want to set the bait for them to ask the right questions so you can talk more in depth about things that you're passionate about. 2, prepare for standard questions. So of course, there are the expected questions that your interviewer might ask, such as, what are your strengths and weaknesses? What are some adjectives that describe you? What do you want to do after college? What was a challenge that you face in a leadership position? These are all standard fare that you can probably find out from Google. Google's your best friend here. Just search up common interview questions. Now, don't script out your answers. I would bullet point your answers when you're preparing for the interview because you don't want to come across as scripted or like a robot, but it's really important to have at least those bullet points of what you're going to talk about because it's so easy to blank when you're asked a question, even if it's simple. It happens. 3, be ready to be thrown off your game. This one's short and simple. As much as you prepare, you can't be fully prepared for everything that is going to happen in your interview. So I want to encourage you to stay on your toes, be ready for any curveballs your interviewer might throw at you, maybe some directions that he or she is interested in asking about that you didn't expect. Just be ready for the unexpected. 4, make sure you do your research about your school. Now, one of the standard questions your interviewer will probably ask is, why us? Why do you want to attend our school? So be ready to answer that. Now, here's a tip. If you can, I would recommend looking up your interviewer on Google, see if they have a LinkedIn profile. Oftentimes, alumni will list what groups they were a part of sometimes on campus. And if those groups that they were a part of are groups that you are genuinely interested in, don't be afraid to bring that up or even ask them questions about their experience in there. It will show that you have done your research. In general, I would say for every interview, come up with at least 3 questions to ask your interviewer, because at the end, they'll probably be like, what questions do you have for me? I would say for these questions, the more specific that you can get them, the better, the more impressed they'll be. 5, be yourself. So at the end of the day, an interview is just a conversation between 2 people. You want it to flow naturally. Don't think too much about, oh, what answer do they want to hear? If you're trying to be fake and not yourself, they can see right through that. I would also add, give yourself grace. Some interviews might go great. For example, my very first interview, I remember I did it at a coffee shop. It was with this Harvard alum, and we hit it off. We talked for more than an hour at that coffee shop. We had a great conversation connecting. But funnily enough, for my Yale interview, I remember after I finished it, I had this very distinct feeling of, ooh, that didn't go so well. It took place on Zoom. It was probably less than 20 minutes. We didn't really talk much. I didn't feel as much of a connection. And I thought maybe I wouldn't get in. But lo and behold, I did. And furthermore, I could see my interviewer's comments in my admissions file, and she had some great, amazing, positive things to say about our conversation. So don't read into it too much is the bottom line. Your application is so much more than just your interview. So remember, there's much for your admissions officers to consider. So good luck on those interviews, seniors. I am cheering you on. I am wishing you all the best. Leave a comment on what you want to see next in these videos, and I will see you guys next time. Cheers.